Wife, cleans up, before conferences. I'm at a crossroads here and I need some outside perspective because I don't want to blow up over what might be trivial. Some background. My wife, 33, goes to 2 or 3 week-long out-of-town conferences each year. She's in a field that demands ongoing professional development. Think panels, workshops, networking events, that kind of thing. I'm 34M, fine with all that. We've been married for 9 years, and I've never had a big problem with her traveling or being around other people, male or female. I'd even say I'm a pretty laid-back guy when it comes to the concept of jealousy or suspicion. We talk a lot. We've never had major trust issues, and she's never done anything overtly suspicious. At least not until recently, which is why I'm here typing this. Over the last couple of years, I've begun noticing a pattern that's got me uneasy. Before each out-of-town conference, my wife does what she calls proper grooming. Now, I'm not talking about a typical shave of the legs or under the arms. I'm referencing a more intimate grooming. Specifically, she will completely shave her pubic hair, going fully bald in the bikini area, sometimes right down to the skin. The odd thing is, it's basically the only time she ever does it. Let's be real. If she was in the habit of maintaining that style, I'd be used to it. Or if she swapped between a wax or a trim for comfort or personal preference, I'd shrug it off. But it's only these conferences that spur a thorough, total cleanup. The rest of the year, she's either partially trimmed or not bothered at all, typically letting things be more natural. I'm trying not to read too much into it. Some people prefer extra grooming when traveling, but it keeps nagging me. At each conference, she meets up with old friends and colleagues from past jobs, has dinner or goes to parties, then attends her sessions. It sounds normal in principle, and I've never had reason to suspect she's messing around. She's never come home late with lipstick on her collar or phone logs that vanish. It's not that. It's more the question. Why specifically do the thorough grooming only for these trips? It's not like these events always have pools or hot tubs. Sometimes they're in a standard hotel by an airport with no real swimming facility. But still, she does it every time. I try to keep an open mind, telling myself she's doing it because she's meeting professional acquaintances, and maybe it's about her confidence or some quirky routine. But yes, my mind does circle around to the more suspicious option. Maybe she's doing it for someone else's benefit. Maybe she's hooking up with someone at these events too. It's a possibility I can't shake, and it's driving me crazy. I don't want to jump to the conclusion that my wife is cheating just because she shaves her pubic region before traveling. That feels like a big leap, but the pattern is definitely there. One of her conferences this year in Vegas, she was heading out for about a week. Often I don't attend. My job schedule is rigid, and usually I don't have the option to take off days that align with her conferences. This time, though, I happen to have a few days of personal time saved, so I decided, sure, let me come along for a weekend. We can enjoy Vegas before you start your big work schedule, and I'll head back to my job on Monday. Seemed perfect. We flew in together, checked into a nice hotel off the Strip. The first day was romantics. We had dinner, saw a show, even indulged in some classic Vegas fun. Everything was normal. I felt zero tension or suspicion. Then Sunday night, after a second day of touristy stuff, we returned to our room, and I said I was starving. She said she just wanted a long bath. She was drained from the flight, the schedule, the nighttime fun we had. So I popped out to grab a quick bite at the hotel's food court alone. 20 minutes later, I come back, and she's in the bathroom finishing up her bath. I can smell the lilac bath foam. I see the steam drifting out. She's humming to herself, which is something she does when she's relaxed or in a good mood. Great. I figure all is well. It's then I notice that, once again, she has shaved everything below the waist. She's got a towel around her torso, but it's easy to see she's freshly bald in the bikini area, like meticulously done on. I mention it casually, half laughing. Hey, so we're going the full runway, huh? She shoots me a small grin, says she wants to be tidy for swimming if we use the hotel's pool. Then she changes the subject, abruptly leaning in for cuddles. She can be like that, affectionate to reassure herself we're okay if she senses I'm unsettled. It's sweet, but also transparent. She's basically trying to gauge if I'm suspicious. Now, maybe it's normal, right? The Vegas hotel does have a pool area. That part is true, except we've done more than a few beach vacations or weekends near water in the past, and she's never done such a thorough grooming specifically for a casual swim. Usually she'll do minimal bikini line shaving if at all. So the I might go swimming excuse rubs me the wrong way, more so since we'll only be using the pool for maybe a couple hours. She's not a big swimmer. Also, she's done this identical grooming pattern before each conference for the last few years. Conferences that didn't even have a pool, so it's not adding up. She knows I'm edgy about it, so she tries to cuddle and lighten the mood. But I recall the many times she's come home from these out-of-town gigs, and the timeline always matches up. A day before leaving, or at the hotel right after arrival, she cleans up. Am I overreacting? I keep telling myself that if she wanted to cheat, she wouldn't necessarily need to be shaved. Cheaters can cheat with or without grooming, obviously, but there's something psychological about the pattern that's twisting me up. I find it suspicious, and yet I also ask, isn't it possible she just shaves to feel more confident, or to beat the heat, or to be comfortable wearing certain underwear or lingerie at these work gatherings? I'm not sure. I'm not typically a jealous person, but I'd be lying if I said it never crosses my mind that these conferences might be an opportunity for hooking up with a fling or something. It's a stereotype, right? People in big professional conferences, sometimes there's a mix of partying and hooking up. Still, it's just a stereotype. She's never given me any other reason to suspect wrongdoing. She's not secretive with her phone, she doesn't hide her texts or calls, and she typically checks in with me a couple times daily when away. So maybe I'm letting a small piece of grooming become a big wedge of paranoia. The mental tug-of-war is exhausting. The only reason I'm leaning suspicious is that it's so consistent and so obviously timed. In the entire year, she rarely does a full shave, but always does it before each trip. She claims it's for comfort or, swimming, but that's not usually consistent with the conference's actual amenities. My logic says people do all sorts of grooming for self-confidence, but the emotional part of me says she's trying to look or feel a certain way for someone else. Possibly I'm being a jerk, reading something into her hygiene routine, yet I can't shake it. So here we are, in Vegas. I'm staying with her for one more day before I return to my job. She'll remain for the entire week. That means a solid 5 nights of mixers, networking dinners, and presumably social events with old colleagues. Usually I'd be totally cool with it, but now I can't stop thinking about the fresh shave. When I half-jokingly teased, "Oh, so you must be planning to show that off to your business buddies," she gave me a forced laugh and changed the subject again. I tried letting it go, but doubt creeps in. Last night, this all came to a head. We went out to dinner at some nice off-strip restaurant, then saw a Cirque du Soleil show. I was on edge, though, picking at my meal, silent during the performance. I felt guilty. Am I about to accuse her of something, or should I just keep my mouth shut and trust her? She must have sensed I was quieter than usual. She asked me softly if everything was okay. I lied. Yeah. Just a bit tired from all the walking. She nodded and let it drop. Then we got back to the hotel, and she dozed off quickly. I lay awake for another hour or two, mind racing with suspicion, shame, confusion. I woke up to find she'd slipped out to get a Starbucks in the lobby. On my phone, I scrolled through my social media feeds absent-mindedly, nearly deciding to post my concerns on a relationship forum. But eventually I chickened out, worried she might see it or figure me out. So I typed a note in my phone's notepad, listing pros and cons of confronting her about the shaving. That's how absurdly fixated I'd become. Pro, I get clarity. Con, she might interpret it as me calling her a liar or a cheater. I do love her, and I don't want to cause friction if it's all innocent. She came back, coffee in hand, wearing casual lounge clothes. We bantered lightly. She asked if I slept better. I said yes. Then she mentioned how she'd meet some old coworkers at 8:00 p.m. for a conference pre-party. I feigned support but felt my heart sink. Another party. Possibly more suspicious grooming. The cycle repeats. Later we parted ways. I roamed the casino floor to kill time. She prepared for an afternoon conference meeting. I had this swirling knot in my stomach that refused to go away. By mid-afternoon I realized I might be overreacting. People have personal grooming habits that shift for reasons that are none of my business. Maybe she wants that extra confidence, or maybe a friend teased her about being unshaven once, and she decided to make it a routine. If I dredge up all these assumptions without concrete evidence, I risk damaging our trust. We've been married 9 years, and I've never caught her in any real lie. She's always been supportive, kind, stable. Maybe she's not cheating. Maybe I'm letting a repeated coincidence transform into suspicion. So, last night, I typed this entire situation into a relationship advice subreddit, half hoping for a quick dude, You're paranoid or something's definitely up. I guess it struck a nerve with the community because it soared in upvotes, gaining enough traction that it showed up on the front page. People chimed in with a range of opinions. Some said I was reading too much into it. Others said it looked suspicious. A few said they do the same grooming for confidence or comfortance or comfort. The variety of responses made my head spin. Then this morning I woke up to a text from my wife, who'd apparently seen my post. "Thank you, random internet fame." Her text was a mix of exasperated annoyance and mild amusement. "Only young, you dumbass. I'm glad I still make you jealous. But I'm not cheating on you." Something along those lines. I guess she recognized my writing style or the details of our situation. Also, the post had apparently soared high enough on the front page that she found it through typical browsing, so that forced a conversation. She confronted me around 7:30 a.m., right before her big morning session. I was groggy, half awake in bed, and she stood there, arms folded, phone in hand, eyebrows arched. She said, "So, do you have something you want to ask me?" My heart lurched. I stammered an apology, explaining that I didn't want to accuse her without cause, but the repeated grooming had felt suspicious. I emphasized that I didn't want to fight. I just needed clarity. She frowned, sighing heavily. She told me that yes, she does clean up thoroughly before big trips because it makes her feel more put together. She insisted it's not about hooking up with random strangers. She'd never do that. She said she rarely shaves everything at home because she's either too busy or it's uncomfortable if she's not traveling. But on a trip, she's got that extra hour or two to soak in a bath, pamper herself. She claims it's purely about feeling fresh and confident if she might wear certain outfits or if the hotel has a spa or pool, even if she doesn't actually go swimming. The possibility is enough that she wants to be prepared. I asked, "Then why not do it for other normal trips or beach getaways we take together?" She pointed out that sometimes she does partial grooming for our vacations, but it's never as thorough because she's more comfortable with me and doesn't feel the same self-consciousness about it. She also admitted she finds a fully shaved style somewhat tedious to keep up daily. She prefers it only occasionally, like for business trips when she's around coworkers. She insisted it's about personal comfort and cleanliness, possibly an overblown sense of professional hygiene, if that's a thing. We ended up in a deep talk that spanned an hour. She half laughed, half chided me for letting my imagination run wild. She teased me that it's cute. I still get jealous after nearly a decade of marriage. Then she said, "But seriously, if I ever actually cheat, I'd be way more suspicious than a shaved bikini line." Trust me, I forced a chuckle, though I still felt a pang of guilt for doubting her. Reading the Reddit thread had forced an actual conversation about it. She assured me that if I ever worry in the future, I should talk to her directly, not bottle it up. She apologized for not explaining better when I asked about it. She never realized it made me uneasy, because in her view, it was a small grooming preference. Meanwhile, many people on my post pointed out that grooming can be about body confidence, especially in professional or social settings. Women said they might do it when traveling because they share a room or worry about random spa or pool invites, or they just feel more put together. It's not necessarily sexual or suspicious, so as of now, I feel somewhat reassured. She's not furious at me, just annoyed that I let it escalate publicly without confronting her. She teased me that I was more paranoid than I thought. The consensus from the female commenters also gave her a laugh. She said, "Apparently yes. A lot of women do this, you big dummy." And we ended up hugging it out before I left for the airport, parted with a gentle kiss, and she told me to chill out. Maybe I was overreacting. The fact is, if my wife wanted to cheat, she could do so with a bush, with a landing strip, or fully bald. The grooming itself is not direct proof of infidelity. Humans do all sorts of grooming or personal style changes for intangible reasons: confidence, aesthetics, perceived expectations. She claims it's about comfort and a weird sense of being ready for anything. While away, even if that anything is just a spontaneous spa or feeling less sweaty in a crowded after-party. She also admitted it might be a bit silly, but it's her routine. And if she was cheating, I'd likely see other signs: secrecy with her phone, strange charges, suspicious alibis. She's never displayed that, so maybe I let the pattern overshadow everything else. For anyone reading who might be in a similar boat, noticing a spouse or partner does certain grooming routines only for specific trips Take my story as a caution. Communication is crucial. Don't let suspicion simmer until you end up ranting on a public forum. Talk to your partner early. I know that can be tough if you fear confrontation or sounding jealous, but it's better than letting it fester into paranoia. The last text I got from her was a winking selfie at the conference lounge. She captioned it, "Fully shaved, but my heart is all yours, you silly man. Miss you already." It cracked me up, though I still felt a blush of embarrassment. Ultimately, I guess it's good that the post reached the front page and forced the conversation. She now knows how I feel, I know her side, and we hammered it out like adults, with a few jabs at my idiotic paranoia. She's continuing the conference happily, and I'm back at work, breathing a sigh of relief. Is the whole thing 100% resolved? Well, I think so. There's always a kernel of doubt when your spouse does something that could have an alternate explanation, but at least I see no real evidence of wrongdoing, and her words plus her attitude ring true. No secrecy, no guilt, no anger, just slight exasperation. I figure if she were cheating, she might act more defensive or outraged at my suspicion. Instead, she teased me about how the subs' comments were calling me out for having no clue about female grooming habits. She also teased that next time, maybe she'll shave a lightning bolt just to freak me out. So, to answer the question, am I overreacting? Yeah, probably. Or at least, I was letting my imagination run too far without real proof. Lesson learned. Communicate early and trust until you have a solid reason not to.